So I've been wanting to do this episode about 10 strategies to help you succeed during the first year at your job. I think that's one of the hardest years at your career. Even if you are switching jobs, that first year at your new job is usually a year where there's a lot of transition, there's a lot of new things going on, and it's really important to understand what are the strategies, what are the things that are going to help you be successful at that first job, at that first year at that job. So there are definitely a lot of similarities between your college experience and your first year at your job, but it is important to understand there's also a lot of differences, and the way you understand, the way you leverage those differences and you understand and stay ahead of the curve, you're going to be able to have a lot of success during that first year. So let me read you a couple statements about some myths or facts about your first year at your new job or your first year out of college. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you're going to have a better understanding, a better idea if these statements are true or not. So let me read them to you. Every student is excited to leave college and enter the working world. Your employer expects you to know everything when you begin. To make a good impression during the first year, individuals should ask few questions and shed the new employee image immediately. It is only my first year on the job. How important can it really be? My first year at the job will determine the rest of my career. So take a minute, if you need to rewind and listen to those statements again, and think about your experience. If you have maybe a few years of experience, or if you're a student, what is your first impression about these statements? I think if you're a student and maybe don't have a clear career direction, these statements may be a little confusing. They may make you open your eyes a little bit on what is really going on here and what needs to happen during that first year at your new job. So let's unpack these 10 strategies to make you successful during that first year out of college. So the first strategy is to adapt to your new environment. And I think this one is super critical, especially when you're coming from college, when you only have maybe 2-3 classes a day, you have long breaks without really doing much. And then you come to an office where you're expected to be at the office maybe 8 hours, sometimes even more time, working on really complicated engineering problems, on tasks that are going to take a lot of effort and energy. So if you don't update your expectations about your day routine, your habits, the things you're doing to support yourself, it's going to be really challenging to really succeed during the first year. Not only that, you have to update the way you communicate with your peers. You need to update the way you work, especially if you were a student that maybe wasn't 100% organized, or you struggle maintaining a schedule. There's different things that you need to start working on if you want to adapt to this new environment. Also, the first year, there's a lot of changes. There's just a lot of people that you meet. There's a lot of people that you interact with. And the important part is to just be open-minded and be open to learning from these people. From my experience, I switched 3 jobs since 2017 when I graduated from college. And because of various circumstances, I wasn't really fired or anything, but I had to switch jobs 3 times. So I had to start the whole process again 3 times, once in 2018, once in 2018, second half of the year, and the last one in 2020. Obviously, that's when the pandemic started. We all went remote and it was a difficult transition. But the way you see these opportunities, the way you analyze what's happening around you, and you prioritize your well-being and you communicating your expectations with others, adapting your environment, is going to help you succeed during that first year at your new job. The second strategy is to be ready to show up every single day. And I think this one is really important, especially if you're out of college. Again, you need to adapt yourself to being at an office for 8 hours, or if you're working from home, just be at your desk 8 hours. It's a completely different mindset, a completely different way of spending the day. And you need to show up, you need to be reliable, you need to answer your phone, you need to answer your email, you need to be really communicative with everyone at the office. And obviously there's different strategies to help you maximize that time, be more productive. And I won't go into all of those right here, but just make sure you are present, you are engaged in the work you're doing, because it's really important for you to show that you are reliable and show that you can show up every single day. The third strategy is to be proactive. And this is one of my favorite ones, one that I preach every time I have an opportunity, one that I share with others, with my mentors, with my mentees, with the people I'm coaching. Here on the podcast, I've talked about a lot about it, but when you start a new job, it is really easy for you to sit back and expect others to come and give you work. It's really easy for you to just sit back and kind of be on the silence of what's happening. But the more proactive you are, the more you ask for work, or maybe just previous projects that you can study, that you can learn from. That's going to be really beneficial for you in terms of getting ahead and getting up to speed in everything you're doing at your new job. And since I started working again after college, I think this is one of the things that I constantly hear from people I work for is my level of proactiveness is really impressive. And it's not only because I'm constantly just looking for new things to do, but it's because I'm being proactive. I'm showing that I'm interested in what's happening here. I'm interested in my self-development, because at the end of the day, the company can provide resources, can show you the way. But if you're not interested in learning, in showing up every single day, in being proactive, it's going to be really hard for you to adapt to this new environment. And I think this is one of the best strategies to just be successful during that first year. So the fourth strategy is manage expectations. And this one is not only when you're starting your job, understanding what your limitations are in terms of maybe a new design or a concept that you are working on, but as well outside of the office. So like I said at the beginning, when you're a college student, you don't have as many classes or as much time really working constantly at a desk. So when you start this new environment, you need to make sure you're eating healthy, you're drinking water, you're exercising, you're getting outside, you're doing all of these things to take care of yourself, and just understanding that your demands are going to be completely different than when you were in college. Obviously, as you age, your metabolism, your health kind of changes, your body changes, your expectations and the way your energy, everything changes. So make sure you're understanding your body, you make sure you're understanding how to recover from a long day at work, how to rest, and how to do all these things that are really setting you up for success during that first year. The fifth strategy is to understand your work duties. Again, this one goes without saying, but make sure you're showing up every day, you are looking at the tasks that you're given. And even if you don't know what's going on at the beginning, it's going to take some time to kind of adjust this new environment. You're understanding what are your work duties. If you get assigned a problem, is that something that you have done in the past in a class? Is that something maybe you worked on during an internship? Is that something that you are capable of doing? And if not, take a step back, analyze the problem, look at it, and then take all that information and go back to your mentor, your supervisor, whoever you feel comfortable with, and ask some questions. I think that's another thing that is really important in that first year, is just make sure you ask a lot of questions. People are there to help you succeed in your career. They're there to allow you to grow into that position. They hire you because they trust you, because they believe in you. So when you're hesitant or asking questions at the beginning, it's hard for them to see that. They have too many things going on. They still have to fulfill all their work duties on top of training you. So make sure you are open and you are asking the questions that you need to. And again, everyone is kind of looking to guide you and to help you in that first year. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Another important thing is to really keep track of everything that you're doing in that first year. I use many tools. One of them is Notion. I think I've talked a lot about it on this podcast, but it's a great tool because it's very flexible. It adapts to everything I'm doing. And I basically have a database that I call my professional journal. I keep notes, I keep meetings, I keep everything that's happening every single day. And it's a really great way to just keep track of everything, keep it organized with projects and tasks and everything. And it just allows me to see kind of the bigger picture of what's happening. Even if I need information later on, I know everything is saved, everything is secure there, and it's always accessible at just a moment's notice, which is really amazing and has come handy a few times during my work. The sixth strategy is to develop your network. Again, this one we talked about a lot about on this podcast, to develop your network. Every single guest that I ask, some of the tips and advice for students, for younger professionals. It always comes up. Just network, grow your network, connect with people on LinkedIn and social media, go to conferences, go join groups like ACE, SEI, either will be some of the ones that I'm part of, and just be on the lookout for new opportunities to connect with others. I think as engineers, obviously, we are very shy, we're introverted, but we need to get out of that comfort zone, start talking to a lot more people. And the important thing is to understand that you don't need to connect with everyone, but just be strategic to the people you're connecting with. You never know when you're going to need another civil engineer or a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer during your job. And it's really important to have that network and understand what that network can bring to you and how you can leverage that network. The seventh strategy is to become reliable. And this one, I think, is also a really important one, especially during that first year. You're basically getting tested, you're getting trained, and people are really looking to you for understanding and making sure you are actually someone that is reliable, that they give you work, you get it done in time, you get it done correctly, you're asking the question that need to be asked, and you're basically showing up and showing you are producing a lot of high quality work. So become reliable, become someone that is dependable and reliable when they give you some work. And again, this doesn't mean that every time they give you something, you have to do it immediately and do it 100% correctly. But it means that even if you don't understand what's happening at the beginning, you're able to ask the correct questions to your supervisor, to your mentor, and keep the project moving forward, as well as just communicate really well with everyone in the team. The eighth strategy is to become a high performer. And again, we talked about a lot about productivity in this podcast, and this doesn't necessarily mean you are the most productive person at the job. It just means that you perform your work well, you perform it on time, and you're communicating along every step of the process. And I think being a high performer is more than just getting everything done fast and correctly, but you're communicating your deadlines, you're communicating your workload, you're communicating with your project manager, with the people that are in the team, so everyone else can do their work and be relying on your work and relying on everything you're doing. And this also means you're a hard worker, you are focused on your work, you're emotionally invested a lot of times in the work, that basically you care about what you're doing, and this shows and kind of rubs on everyone else to do a great job in what they're doing. So be a high performer. There's a lot of tactics in terms of productivity. Go back to previous episodes if you want. I've talked about habits and reviews and some things that will help you get the most out of your career, especially in that first year where there's a lot of information coming your way and you need to process a lot of information, transmit it into your work, and ultimately just have a final product that it's great for you as well as for the client that you're serving. The ninth strategy to be successful during the first year is learn the benefits. I think this one is one that gets forgotten a lot, but understand what are some of the company benefits. And there's obviously the main ones: your health insurance, your dental, your vision, your retirement benefit. But there may be some other ones that you need to ask and ask around, and you kind of find them and stumble into them. For example, our company has a really cool program to what we call a community service, where they give you some certain amount of time, the PTO, every year, so you can either work at a project at your community, or be part of committees or attend conferences. And this is not 100% explicit during when I first joined, but as I communicated with everyone, it became apparent that this was a benefit, and is one that I've used a lot just because I like to volunteer, I like to be active in the community, and is one that has served me well in the past couple of years that I've been with this employer. And the last one, the 10th strategy to become successful at your first job or the first year at your job, is to learn the basics of finance. And again, this one I have a few great episodes with Danielle, with Nikolai, and one by myself actually, where I share and talk with them about the principles of finance, understanding kind of the basics of finance. I also have a really long article to show you kind of these principles in action, help you save money, make more money, as well as spend money wisely during the first job. Again, there's a lot of information in finance. I'm not going to cover everything here, but some of the things that you really need to pay attention to is obviously your salary. Make sure that when you negotiate your base salary, it's something that you're happy with. You've done your research with what the salary range is in your area, your career, and what type of work you're doing. Look at your 401k. Obviously, the company has a match. There's a no-brainer. You need to go and get that match as soon as possible. And there's other things like PTO and some things that may not be explicitly related to money, but at the end of the day, that's some benefits that you want to take advantage of. Like I said, if they have some PTO for community service, make sure you negotiate if you need more vacation days. Make sure you understand all these benefits that are tied to money, but they're not really a dollar amount. And make sure you are taking advantage of all of those. I think that's super important. Once you have those basics done, go back to the podcast episodes with Daniel, Nikolai, and the one I did by myself, as well as the article on the website, just to learn some more information on how to use these new resources that you have. You probably have never made this amount of money in your life if you're a student or if you're just starting your career. So this is a great time to set those rules. Make sure you are understanding where the money needs to go to have enough money for retirement, enough money to survive during the month, as well as save and invest some of that money. So again, go back to all those resources. There's a lot of information on finance. This is a topic that I've talked quite a bit here on the podcast, and I still want to do a lot more in the future. So it's something that I'm just really excited to talk about. So there you have it. Those are the 10 strategies for a successful first year at work. There's obviously a lot more things that I could have covered here, but I think these ones are just really important ones. Some that have helped me get through 3 job transitions in the past 4 or 5 years now, and strategies that I know have helped many other people in their careers. And it's just something that we don't really think about too much when we're starting our job. We just kind of get thrown into the mix, and hopefully we have enough experience from other jobs or from internships or from just classes to get going on the technical concepts. But there is so much more around your career, around benefits, around the way you can influence a successful first year at work, that you need to just look at the bigger picture, understand where you sit, where you stand, and how you're gonna apply those concepts into your career. Again, thank you so much for being back here on the podcast. I recently launched a free PE course to help you study for the exam, get ready for this big day, and kind of guide you through what I did personally, some of the resources that I found useful, some of the ideas and concepts that I applied during the 3-4 months that I was studying, and basically everything I wish I knew before I started studying for the exam. In this course, I won't cover really any technical information. I left that to others that have more experience than I do, but I just wanted to kind of show you how to prepare for this exam, how to find the resources that are going to help you prepare for the exam, as well as some study tips, some exam tips, and just overall just resources, as well as some accountability, so you get the most out of this period of studying for the PE exam. So if you're interested, I'm gonna leave a link in the description down below, or go to luisfelipeduque.com/PE course to find more information about it. Again, this is something that I've been working a lot on, something I'm really excited to put out there. It's a free resource. You don't have to pay me a dime for it. It's everything that I wish I'd known before I took the exam. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for coming back to this episode. I hope you found these tips useful. Make sure you reach out on social media. Let me know which one are you going to implement if you're a new student, someone that's graduating, starting your first job. Which one are you most excited about? If you maybe are 2 years, 3 years into your career and haven't really thought about this, how are you going to implement this now that you have more experience? Then maybe you're a little more comfortable in your job. Hopefully this can take you to the next level in your career. Again, thank you so much, Jack Winters, for the music. And as always, let's continue engineering our future.